Here is Awal Srinka YouTube channel. Awal Srinka YouTube channel, agricultural YouTube channel, which promotes only agricultural activities, especially research outputs. So, anybody who wants to follow this channel, please make it subscribe and you can give any comments. For today, I have a special program which tell us about Dr. Safaa Kumari. Dr. Safaa Kumari is a Syrian-born plant virologist. She is known for developing a disease-resistant variety of fababin that is resistant to the fababin necrotic yellows virus. She was born in 1963 in Aleppo. She was brought up in Aleppo and she has several siblings or brothers. Between 1982 and 1985, she was at Aleppo University where she studied in Faculty of Agriculture. She began work looking at a virus that has been spreading from Ethiopia, and it affects the important food plants of lentils, faba beans, and chickpeas. This is devastating for low-income families who rely on these beans to be their poor mains meat. Oddly, the cause is linked to climate change. The changing temperatures encourage the aphids population to boom, and these aphids spread the virus much more widely. She discovered a fababin variety that was resistant to fababin necrotic yellow virus. She was living in Aleppo during the war in Syria. She had left to attend a conference in Addis Ababa when she was told that her family was on the run. Her family had been given 10 minutes to leave their home. She decided to risk her life by traveling to Damascus and then driving to rescue the disease-resistant seeds. The seeds had been stored at her sister's residence, and it was in the center of Aleppo. She collected the seeds and then traveled to Lebanon. Her next task was to take the resistance traits that she had found and transfer them to a productive variety. She immediately set to work in her new home and also dove into the yellow rust and steam rust situation in Lebanon. During this time, she put together definitive evidence that UG99 had not yet reached the country. In 2020, she was recognized in the BBC's 100 Women. 2 women from Syria made the list. The other was the filmmaker Wad Al-Khatib. By this time, she was working in Lebanon, where she worked at an International Center for Agricultural Research in the dry areas, ICARDA, in the Bekaa Valley. Dr. Safaa Kumari, an eminent Syrian plant virologist at the ICARDA, has been acknowledged in the BBC's, as I told you, 100 Women 2020 for her inspiring and influential work in protecting global crops from devastating disease. And also, Dr. Safaa Kumari, a virologist and head of the Germplasm Health Unit at ICARDA, who was elected at Arab Society for Plant Protection president during the 30th Arab Congress of Plant Protection held from 16 up to 21 October 2022 in Tunisia. Here also all this about Dr. Safaa Kumari. The sources from I find from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, and some of them from BBC and also ICARDA pages. In addition to this, I attached her interview voice for BBC before 2 years also. So this all about Dr. Safaa Kumari. Just our Srinka YouTube channel, as you know, promote some model agricultural scientists. So Dr. Safaa Kumari also one of them. So just to remember and also to promote and to learn other women's because Dr. Safaa Kumari is very committed for her agricultural research jobs. So in addition to this, he mentioned most of her activities, her families, during the BBC interview. So I attached this BBC interview voice below this. So our Srinka YouTube channel just continue like this kind of information. The rest just you can make it subscribe and give comments to improve this channel, because our Srinka YouTube channel is the only channel which promotes agricultural activities, especially some research outputs and model agricultural scientists also. So finally, our Srinka YouTube channel wish peace for our country and also our globe also. Thank you very much. Ciao.
To Syria to meet a scientist who risked her life to collect some seeds from a house in war-torn Aleppo.
The road was not safe at that time. Fighting, bombing everywhere. I was afraid, but I have no choice. If I lose the seeds, I will lose 20 years work.
Dr. Safaa Kumari is what's called a plant virologist, looking for solutions to epidemics that destroy crops. And she'll be telling us precisely why these seeds were so vital in a moment. Safaa was born in the city of Aleppo in 1963, and she's the eldest of 8 children. Back then, education would not have been seen as a priority for girls, but Safaa was always determined to get to school.
It was not easy for me to go to the school, because at that time we go walking to the school, because buses was not available for the student. The distance between my home to the school is more than 45 or maybe 1 hour walking every day. Really, it's not easy for us to do that, but we did it.
And when you were young, what did you want to grow up to be?
To be honest, my dream was to be a human doctor. But unfortunately, my school at the high school was not enough. Really, I was lucky. I did not study the medicine, because I'm very happy now in the plant virology field. I'm a doctor, but not for a human, for plant, because also plants are very important for a human life. And without plant and food, we cannot survive.
But just tell me, how usual, how normal was it for a girl when you were young to go to university?
It was very difficult at that time for young women to study agriculture and go to university at the same time. I'm talking about 1980s. At that time, the number of the women at the university was around 3 to 5% of the students. But now, if you go to the university, you will see the women are more than 50%. And in addition to that, the culture in Syria and in Aleppo, also in our family, studying for the girl was unfamiliar. But fortunately, my dad is open-minded.
So your father supported you?
Yes, too much.
How did he support you?
My dad was providing with me all the support and advice and everything I needed financially. He paid everything for me and he told me at that time, Safaa, I will pay everything for you and you should be studying.
So, study she did, a science degree at the University of Aleppo. And as part of her course, she paid a visit to a nearby organisation called ICARDA, which stands for the International Centre for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas. That day, she knew immediately that this was where her vocation lay.
During my visit to ICARDA, I realized that this is my dream. I was at that time 22 years old, and I heard from one of my friends that ICARDA need daily workers to help them at the field. This was on March 1986. Next day I visit ICARDA and by chance the labor's office asked me to work at the virology lab. I can say that now I'm very lucky because I work with well-known plant virologist. It's called Dr. Khalid Makoub, and I learned from him a lot. Then I got to the ICARDA plant virologist position and my virology is my baby.
You specifically chose virology, or you concentrated on virology. Tell me why you think plant virology is so important.
Because every day there is something new. Look now for corona. For coronavirus, there's something, a new disease. We have the same for the plant. Every day we have new viruses. If you have fungal disease or bacterial disease, we'll give you any treatment. But if you have virus, it will be very, very dangerous for a human, for animal, as well as for plant. Because we don't have a treatment. And if you have 50% plant infected, that means you will have 50% yield reduction. Can you imagine what will be happen for the poor farmers when they lose their stable crop and food? For example, during 1992, a severe virus epidemic affecting fava bean crop in Middle Egypt, leading to yield loss of fava bean at that time over 90%. Now, if you're thinking now, what is the most important breakfast dish for Egyptian and many countries in Africa is food and ta'miyah. Now, if you have 90% loss based on the virus disease, how can the people survive without food? And you know how the people are poor in that area. And also, similar high incidence level for the same virus has been observed in regions like Syria, Jordan, Turkey, Tunis, North Africa, and others.
But can you explain to me how they are being attacked? What kind of virus is attacking them?
All these viruses transmitted in different way. Some of them they transmitted by seeds, but the most important is transmitted by insects. Because here you don't have control for insect because the environment condition play an important role in virus spread. For example, when temperature rise, the aphids become active. Aphid or insect activity multiple and they spread the virus.
So, Safaa spent 20 years trying to find a solution to this, searching for plants which showed resistance to different viruses. Finally, she discovered a number of fava bean varieties naturally immune to one particular disease called the fava bean necrotic yellow virus. She was ecstatic to have found the resistant plant, but for safekeeping during a period of intense conflict in the Civil War, she decided to keep the precious small sample of them at her sister's house in central Aleppo. But then, in October 2012, while Safaa was at an international conference in the Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa, she got an important call.
I received a telephone call from my mom informing me that they lost our buildings and then they went to Turkey. All of them. My mom, 3 brothers, and with their family.